There we go. Let's see. Can you try again?
Yeah, how are you?
Oh, there we go.
Good.
Starting to hear you. You look like you just worked out.
Oh my gosh, no, but it's so hot here that a trip to the mailbox is like a heat stroke. Well, who am I talking to? You know that, right?
No, I'm just basically like trapped indoors. It's summer, but I can't go anywhere. Just have to accept it.
What is
Welcome
it, like
on.
105?
Was that?
I said, what is it there? 105 or
Oh gosh, we actually it was 116 here the other day.
oh my gosh.
It didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really feel like that crazy though. Like, I don't know, to me. I mean, not that I was out in it all day, but
Right.
it sounds worse than it is in a sense. So I know that some people in the group know who you are because they were excited you were coming. And we had a bunch of people join the group today to watch this, which is awesome. Would you mind just doing like a little quick intro of who you are and what we're going to talk about today?
Absolutely. So we are talking hormones and hormone balancing exercise. What's the difference? And I'm coming to you from Flipping 50 and flipping50.com. It's all about really changing your mindset about what it is to age so that you can choose the right physical habits that get you there.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to talk about hormone balancing and quite a bit about metabolism
Yes.
balancing, boosting, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I think let's do some myth busting around the word metabolism. Because some people will say, well, I have a slow metabolism, or
Yep.
metabolism's like slowed down because I got
Yep.
older. Like that's like a static thing. What do you think?
Oh, I think be careful what you say because your cells are listening. So if you don't want that to be true, I think we've got to stop saying that.
Good
You know,
point.
it might be a little sluggish, and there are things that we probably have done, habits or maybe illness and something that's gone on that's caused that to be true, but we can change it. And there are a couple things that are so easy to change, just the type and the timing of the food you eat and the type and the timing of the exercise that you do and sleep, right? Sleep is a big one. So if we can get that right, and for anybody who's listening who's thinking, yeah, if I could only sleep, right, that would be so nice. But you can choose how you exercise and how and what you eat to influence positively your sleep. So it's kind of like you decide what's your priority. If you're not sleeping, let's focus on everything being decision making that helps that. And if you've got that nailed, then you can move on to let's check the boxes under exercise and see how you're doing there.
Okay, I like it. So I'm curious, do you feel like you've ever struggled with your metabolism or, had a time in your life where things fell off?
Definitely. I think right now, every day, I have to do a check in with, okay, how are the hormones doing today? And how do I need to play nicely with them? Because sometimes you can be doing everything right, but we are going to go through changes during menopause. And it's kind of taking when we were cycling regularly, you had a period every month and you had maybe a little PMS. Maybe you didn't notice it except for, a little pimple on your face or whatever. We went through those cycles. And now it's like taking that and putting it on steroids, and you're going through it maybe for a year at once. So there's fluctuations and you've got to check in with them. So I go through that too. I mean, we can't change mother nature, even though we are fitness professionals or health coaches. We're in the boat rowing with everybody else. I mean, sure, you know that too,
I do.
right?
I 100% know that. Yeah, I used to be like, oh, I can't admit that like things aren't going right for me. And honestly, I was thinking just last night, I'm like, I need to actually admit it more often, just so people can relate.
Yes.
Especially in my community, I find that women are trying, really trying. And they just feel stuck, like they haven't figured something out. So yeah, definitely 100%. And like you said, we're changing, we're dynamic with our hormones and where we are. wonder if you could talk a little bit about which hormones you're referring to. I feel like I always have to clarify. There's female hormones and there's other hormones.
Yeah, no, that's such a great. We often just blame it on, oh, it's hormones, yeah, right? But what hormones are we talking about? So good. And once we nail them, we can start targeting what works to help rebalance that, or what is balance even mean to us. So, the big ones that really throw people off when they're talking about metabolism, they're talking about weight gain, and probably everybody recognizes it's belly fat, now maybe more than it ever was, or maybe it's your thighs or your upper arms. I mean, those are really big spots for women that are kind of, I didn't used to have that. Now what's going on?
So you say when you have an area that's getting flabby, or that's an indicator of hormone imbalance, really?
Quite often it is. And it doesn't have to come with weight gain. For some women, it's not that they've gained weight. In fact, they may have lost a little, and they're still in a sweet spot, but they're suddenly seeing more visible fat than they ever did before. Sometimes it's cellulite. Sometimes it's just the skin is looser. The collagen is an issue. But those problems are really much more related to insulin and cortisol. And yet they're a factor of, they become a problem because the sex hormones, the estrogen changes, the progesterone and the testosterone, they're starting to tank and go a little lower. And that makes us more susceptible to any of the changes that are going to happen with cortisol and then insulin teaming up with it. So when our insulin levels are either too high or too low, we're in trouble. There's that sweet spot where we need to be. So insulin, which probably comes in because we crave carbohydrates for comfort. And when we reach for them, whether it's literally dessert and sugar, or it's simply foods that turn to sugar easily when they're digested, it ends up being sugar that, you've got belly fat and you've got cortisol, and they say, hey, let's go have a party in the belly. And so it relocates, redistributes fat cells to the belly, and that becomes a bigger issue. So those are the big ones. There's a cascade of others like ghrelin and leptin that tell you, yes, you're hungry. You really are. Even though you're not physiologically, there shouldn't be a reason why you are. That may be there if you've got cortisol that's going wanky. And, then if leptin is teaming up with that one, leptin is supposed to tell you you're satisfied. That's enough. And it's when you can leave really great food even on your plate and be okay with that. But if you have ghrelin telling you you're hungry, you should have some, and leptin has left the building with Elvis, nobody says you're full, then that's when you're going to snack, too much, especially if you've got a trigger food in front of you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a note of that on the Facebook because people have heard of those ones as much. Excuse me. Let me go to your notes so I can decide where to go next. So you're a fitness specialist, really. That's the main thing you focus on. You've had a lot of years in the fitness industry. Is that right?
How many?
You've had a lot of years in that industry. I don't know how many.
Yeah.
Okay.
34.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so great. So you really know, because I feel like just like with nutrition, there's a lot of experts, right, out there. Like everybody's on Instagram, like talking about nutrition.
If you eat, you are an expert, right?
Basically, yeah. And I don't know if it's quite as bad with fitness, but yeah, you really know your stuff, and you focus just on that age group. Around 50, which is awesome. So give us some of your exercise tips about, actually I can tell you on the group, we just started this group. Yeah. I think I've had a couple people say, I definitely remember someone recently like, oh, I'm jogging like 4 miles a day and I'm not losing weight. I need help. So it's stuff I'm like, oh, I know Deborah's going to have something to say about that. So
let's dive into that one. Okay. And I don't dish that 4 miles a day. So that's awesome. That says you've probably got some endurance, which is great. But, if you're doing it every day, you're not necessarily helping yourself get more fit. So it's kind of like, if you can do that and you're doing it fairly easily. Oh, if you can do that, you can do that fairly easily, then, you know, keeping a couple of days of that jog and then flipping it. So you're doing maybe some shorter interval training on 1, maybe 2 days, and maybe you shift that down to go for a walk, once, and it's longer, or it's a hike, wherever you might be, and then get some weight training in there. And I'm not talking about adding tons of time. You can do 2 10-minute sessions a week and get an awful lot done. But maintaining that lean muscle mass is one thing. And we should say this right away. So, I just jumped in and tried to save this person we know too little about, really, to advise that individual person, here's what you need to do.
Right, sure.
So I would ask a lot of questions first. So think of this rhetorical, if you're listening and you're doing the same thing and it's not working now and it maybe worked before, are you tired, regularly, or do you have tons of energy? So that's going okay. So how you might shift if you were going to say yes to, I'm doing this, but I don't have more energy. I'm actually more tired most of the time. And I would say cut back. And maybe you keep one of those 4-mile runs that you're doing instead of doing it daily, and shift to half as much. Maybe pick up the speed on a couple of days, but even try that for a week and see how you feel. So if you're feeling tired, not feeling more energetic when you're exercising, that's a sign that, you may be just putting too much in your bucket. And, there's too much cortisol going in right now, because exercise will fire that up. And if you do that for too long, what happens is you just don't have anything to give. You're writing checks and there's nothing in the bank, and you don't want to get there, right? That's not a good place to be.
Okay. So if someone's listening and they're tired all the time,
yeah,
kind of thing, they have to go pretty slow, or do you just like short bursts? Well, is that accurate?
Yeah. So volume number one, cut that down. I would say use 50% as whatever you're doing now, cut your volume down by 50%. And the words I like to use are restore before more. So if you're tired, you're not feeling like, oh, this exercise is energizing me, and you're not bounced back within 2 hours after finishing a workout, that's a sign it's draining you instead of making you better. So we want to take a look at that. And that doesn't mean that at some point you won't come back to being a regular jogger or runner. If that's what you love to do, I think you will, but you got to take a step back and kind of fill up that hole of tired and fatigue and figure out where it came from before you start trying to do more.
Okay, that's a good tip. You sent me another note here that we should cover about intervals early and light late. Does that mean you get your hard workout in earlier in the day?
Definitely. So if cortisol is working well for you, it's why you wake up before the alarm goes off naturally. And even if you don't set it or you forget to set it, you kind of go off at the same time anyway. That's a good thing. So cortisol gets a bad rap, but it's also the energy hormone. So it should be starting to rise at about 8 a.m. It's at its peak. It rises a little bit, starts to come down late in the morning and afternoon. It starts to get in that low, and that's where we all can kind of feel that dip in the afternoon of energy. And, that's a good thing, but we want to work with it, not against it. So it might not be intuitive. You might think, well, I'm low in energy in the morning or in the afternoon, so maybe I should rev myself up with exercise, right? And yet you may be doing more harm than good if you try to rev up when the body naturally should be winding down again for a good night's sleep, for calm and relax. Yep.
It's funny, when I was younger, I would exercise at night. I could exercise at night. I also stayed up later.
Yeah.
And now I'm not. I really have to follow the cycles of day and night more.
Yeah.
Do you find that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think probably 98% of the women in my programs who go through menopause are so like that as well. The challenge for most of us who live in a working world is, not everybody can fit it
True.
in before work. And so it becomes, how do I do that, right? How do I plan it?
Yeah, another time I love to work out, and again, I have a flexible schedule like you. I love to work out at lunchtime, go to a class at lunch because I feel like I've accomplished something at work by then and I'm ready to move around.
Yeah.
So I love to work out at lunchtime. But yeah, I've been going through the same challenge too because if I do that, it takes a chunk out of my work day and my son comes home at 3 and then there's more juggling at night. So yeah, it's definitely, but you encourage that you can do a short workout too. So I imagine people could do like a 10 or 20-minute workout at home or even at work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally recommend, take advantage of those days off or your weekends if they're not the same. Do your longer workouts then, and really you've got to plan it. So we all know that cliche, right? You plan when you're going to do the work or the workout, and then you work the plan, right? So you've got to stick with it. And it might mean that, yep, you got to get up 10 or 20 minutes earlier, a couple mornings a week. But if you can get that much in and then optimize your weekends, now you're set and you really have a good week of exercise. And I think we all get stuck thinking it has to take an hour or I have to do it every day. And truly, if you get in a good schedule, it's less exercise, just with more purpose. And then be active in your day, and you're going to have more energy when you come home from work. You will feel like maybe tossing the ball in the yard, or you'll feel like going for a walk with the dog or your spouse, and that kind of activity counts. So we don't need to always be focused on a watch or a heart rate or how hard you're working. Sometimes activity alone is wonderful for hormone balance.
That's a good point. Yeah, just not just sitting like 10 hours in the car and work, getting
right
in there. Yeah. So I saw a video of you this morning on Instagram. You have a great Instagram page.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You're in a bathing suit. I
know, right?
So
I never do that.
That's how I brought it up though. I brought it up because you said something on there. It was just you need to work to muscle fatigue to reset your metabolism. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So tell me about that.
Yeah, and probably that's the number one mistake a lot of women, especially in their 50s and their 60s and maybe even 40s, who didn't catch on to the weight room, the weight training or strength training early in their adulthood. That's the number one mistake they're making, is either not lifting weights at all or lifting but never reaching fatigue. There are so many.
They're just like boop, boop, boop.
Or yeah. So, or kind of check this box. I did 3 sets of 10, so check, did that. But if you get done with 10 and you're not at fatigue, you probably should do a few more to get to muscle fatigue. And that's the difference. What we have to do is a principle of fitness called overload. We really have to take the muscle kind of to the point where it is specifically tired. This is a whole different tired, Bridget, than, we were talking about, are you tired because you're jogging every day? But here we're talking about muscle fatigue. Like when I do a bicep curl, is my bicep done? Really, I start to cheat. I can't do another really good repetition without feeling like I'm cheating and I move the whole body to get it up there. You want to reach that point because that says, okay, you kind of took your body to the edge, right? You didn't jump off. We didn't break anything. But then between that and your next workout, during that rest period, that's actually where the fitness happens. And yet, if it doesn't have the stimulus of reaching fatigue, then that recovery doesn't stimulate as much fitness for you. So you've got to reach the fatigue. The great news is this: within the last about 16 months, a study came out. So if anybody's out there nervous, thinking, I do not like to lift heavy weights, I'm scared of it, I'm not doing it, it causes bulk, whatever you might believe or have, in trepidation about, light weights work as long as you do enough repetitions to get to
Oh,
fatigue.
okay.
So
Okay.
you can benefit the muscles with either heavy weights fewer times or lighter weights more times, and you can still
Okay.
see benefit. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I usually do 2 workout classes a week,
Hmm.
and then I walk my dog every day, and I like maybe swim, but like honestly, like I don't, I know everybody's different, but I also know a lot of women I'm meeting are over exercising compared to, because I can maintain, decent muscle, mass and metabolism and all that, which is that. So,
Hmm.
why do more? I
Yeah.
kind of feel like, I mean, some people love it. And if you love it and you
Yeah.
want to run and you want to do things, then you just have to find the balance, I guess.
And you brought up like two things I kind of would like to come back to, but one of them is, why do more? And sometimes I think the reason for that is some women negate their stress with exercise.
Oh, yeah.
But I agree with you that sometimes to their own detriment. So I would encourage anybody listening to make sure you've got a whole toolbox. So exercise is one way, but what would be some other ways? Music or books or time with your pet, or what else do you like to do so that you don't always have to rely on, the drug that can be exercise that may get you into trouble and kind of burnout, fatigue, and that kind of tired.
Yeah, I think it can be like a drug and also like
Hmm.
a social thing, right? Like,
True.
well, that's my community. Like I play tennis or I go to CrossFit, and I've gone through that. I used to rock climb a lot, and when I started school, I kind of lost my community, and it was a bummer. And then another time, I was just way going too much, and I have a permanent, chronic pain from it now. So I just wasn't listening to my body. I wasn't recovering, like you said, and so yeah, there is other psychology involved that you have to stop and pull away from, and maybe you're still part of that community in other ways.
Hmm.
If you
Yep.
can't work out quite as hard or you need to take a break. So I want to talk about like big picture, because I think that a lot of women as they age, like they feel like they have to accept certain things, right? Thank you. Yeah, I don't know how old you are, but you look amazing and you're super toned. I mean, I see her in person at different events and she looks great. You're always tan and you're fit and you're toned everywhere. So yeah, like let's
Well,
bust
not
that myth.
everywhere, but but that's for me to know and you not to find out.
That's true. We all have our little spots. But no, you look amazing. And I think women feel like, well, after I have kids or after I have menopause, it's inevitable. Okay, yeah. Tell me more.
Stop it. That's all. Stop it. Just stop it.
As our friend JJ Berger would say, right? Stop
Exactly. And again, it comes back to, if you tell yourself that, you're going to believe it. And I truly believe, I'm in sports and exercise psychology, right? So, I did below here as an undergrad, and then I did above to figure out the rest and why we're not
Mm.
getting it as a grad student. But, if you tell yourself that, you will do everything in your power to make it true. There's a universal
Wow.
truth there. So, I think the question I would say, if you're thinking, I've had 5 kids or I've had 8 kids, I'm going to have flab, do you want that to be true? That's the
Mm.
question I would ask. And if you don't, then don't repeat it. And let's look at what you can do to change. So, honestly, I've seen some women rebound after giving birth, multiple times and actually look better than their pre baby body
Mm.
did. So we know it's possible. And I don't know if we have to believe that those women are genetically just endowed or gifted and they chose their parents really, really well. But I think there are habits, and part of it is mindset. You have to believe it in order to bring it. I don't think, by accident, any of us are going to get there. And sometimes it takes a little discipline, and commitment. It's not about being motivated to do the right things. It's about being committed, right? It's just like marriage. I mean,
Okay.
you're not always motivated to, make the marriage work, right? But you're committed. I mean, you agreed, we're going to make this work. We're doing it. We're in it for life. And there's a trust and a faith in that. And we kind of expect fitness to be easier. And I think that, it's just, where'd the motivation come from? How do I get that? How do you do it? Well, I don't always have it either, but I'm committed. I'm committed.
No, I always see you making those little videos and you're all, I'm like, one of my weaknesses is working out at home. I'm just like, no, that's not happening. And you're good about it.
But you're my secret, right? You and anybody who might see that is how I stay committed. You are a part of my accountability because
that's a good point.
I'm doing it for someone else's benefit, and that holds me accountable. So I've said, I'm going to help you. I'm going to create these things for you, and that's part of my commitment. So it's there for me too. And so we each have to find, I think, that how do we build that in? How do we keep that there? But there is a geeky study that was done back in the 90s, right? So now we're talking 20 years ago. Somebody was way ahead of their time, and it was all about the belief, what you think about the activity that you do and how you think about yourself as young or as vibrant and full of energy. And they sequestered older adults away and made them talk as if they were in their prime again. And they made them be in charge of, their food and their entertainment, and they're putting their suitcases away, even though they were in their 70s, and some of them used the help of a cane. At the end of the experiment, after they had talked about themselves as if they were young again, they appeared not only to themselves, but to a panel. They could hear better. They could see better. Some of them appeared to have fewer wrinkles. They weren't using their cane. They were more upright, less stooped over, better posture. So literally there were physical as well as mental changes by simply changing the frame of mind, their lifestyle. I mean, they didn't make them work out, and they didn't necessarily feed them better, quote unquote, health food. It was just about changing their mindset and the words they were talking about. So it's really an important part of, getting older, how you think about it, what you associate with that and think possible. Because we know that the aging process now is not just a matter of you're going to lose muscle, you're going to lose bone mass, you're more likely to have disease. We know that the rest of that sentence is if you don't do anything proactively. So if you exercise correctly and you start to be aware of the foods that are best for you, you take good care of your sleep process, and you handle stress better, you can age so differently that we actually haven't seen it yet. I mean, we're going to break the ceiling.
Wow, I like that. I like that. Yeah, it's really true. We have so many tools now. I think this is such a great point you're bringing up about how we talk to ourselves and what we think is possible, because I think there are a lot of women that, I meet, and even just their comment, I can just tell, like, they're just down on themselves. I'm fat, I'm frumpy, and yeah, your body's listening to all that.
Yep.
I think I can be like the opposite. Like I tell her, do you ever watch that show, The Mindy Show with Mindy Kaling?
No.
It's not on anymore, but she's a comedian, and she was saying to her boyfriend that she thinks when she goes out in her sweatpants, she looks like the celebrities, caught at the grocery store, the celebrities caught getting Starbucks, and they always look great because they're like gorgeous celebrities. She's like, that's like me. I just go out and I wear whatever. That's kind of how I think too. I'll go out with like I don't know, like leggings that I slept in and like clothes that don't match. But I just feel good about myself. You know, I don't think I'm like a supermodel, but I just have a positive, you know, mindset. And of course, like if you see someone else, you could start comparing or this or that. But it's like,
it's easy.
Yeah, you just have to stay out of that. And I think it's great to have people like you as an example, because again, if the people around you, say you work in an office and everyone's, you know, eating microwave lunches and cake, and you know how it is in an office, like you can feel like, well, everyone's like this. No one has energy. Everyone has to have coffee. Everyone's overweight. But it's not true. Like you need to get out of that environment that's giving you that message. Get with somebody like you, right? Go to a great workout place.
Right here, right?
Yeah, right now.
I think that's such a great component, great aspect of the online community, because now no matter where you are in the world, you can surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, or you know what you want to aspire to. So there are people you can hang out with that can help you realize you're not the only one, you know, swimming upstream. We got you.
Yeah. And I love your thing about commitment too. You know, yeah, it doesn't always happen right away, but it's just like mindset. You and I are business colleagues, and we have our things to take longer than we thought. Right?
Yeah, right.
And how do we all the time? How do we stick with it? We want something. We're dedicated. We pick ourselves back up, right, when it's not going well. So I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Debra. I think you have some resources for us. Where should we go to find out more about you? How can we get started with you?
To flipping50.com. It's all words spelled out.
Okay.
And if you do /5, the number 5-day flip, you can do, you know, 5 days short exercise videos with me that you can do right at home. You know, just little doable things for both strength training and a little cardio, really a break. You know, if you need an afternoon energy break and you're already working out, it might be just that. If you are just starting or restarting, it actually might be a short workout that feels doable, and you can finish the week saying, I did this, I can do this. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I just found it. So I'm going to post it on here. Yeah, you have like always really great resources, especially if you're less like me and you're good about doing little videos that you find. Let me see here.
Can I circle back to one thing? It's going to drive me crazy if I don't.
Sure.
But you said something about, you know, doing less, and then you said, I maintain muscle mass. And I just want to highlight that for everybody that's listening, that it's so good to know that. So if you're listening and you're used to kind of grading or evaluating yourself based on weight, or thinking you're fat or that you need to lose weight, before you dive into anything, get your body composition done. Because what you really want to know is, how much lean muscle mass do I have now at this weight? And it may be that you actually want to gain lean mass, or that you want to maintain that mass, and you want to make sure that you're losing fat, So it's good to track that. You know, if you're going to jump on a scale, you know, I highly encourage that you know what that body composition is, because that's the factor that really helps you look in the mirror and feel like, I like what I'm seeing here, and makes your clothes fit better. Yeah, great question. Okay. So right now, if you're ever again going to buy a bathroom scale, don't buy one that doesn't tell you body composition. But let's clarify, body composition is body fat. It's not BMI. So BMI is just height and weight. It does not give you enough information. So we want body fat. So you could also go to, right now, InBody is a body composition analyzer. It's non-invasive. So you can go in your street clothes, you just step on the machine, and you're done in about 5 minutes, and you have a lot of information.
Tell me that one again. I was typing it.
It's called InBody.
InBody.
InBody. And a lot of Walgreens now carry them. So if you are in a location where Walgreens is, you might want to look up your local Walgreens and find out if they have it.
And it's like what is it exactly?
It's, you know, it looks like a spaceship version of a bathroom scale.
Oh,
So
okay.
nothing,
Okay.
you're going to stand on it, I think, in your bare feet and hold on to a couple of handles, and you'll be done in about a minute, and you'll step off and they'll give you a
Oh.
printout. Yep.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I remember when I was young, like in my, I don't know, early mid 20,
Younger.
younger. Thank you
Yeah.
for the correction. I'm still young as all get. Thank you. Yeah, when I was younger, like in my early 20s, I weighed like 7 pounds more actually than I do now. And that was muscle. I was super strong back then. So yeah, I don't have, I guess, as much muscle mass as I did then. But it's interesting. It is, you're like you said, it isn't just like the weight. It's
Yes.
actually,
Yeah.
because muscle's heavier, right?
Muscle is heavier, it's denser. But I mean, the great thing about it is, if you can lose that conditioning we have about the weight and the scale, it's more dense. So what's going to happen is you're just going to like the way your clothes fit. You're going to kind of reproportion yourself if you've got more muscle. And you'll do that with strength training faster than you'll do it with cardio. So it's so much better, so much faster to really see a body change and to just feel stronger. The other thing I like about strength
Yeah.
training, it's not just externally, it's just you feel stronger.
You do, you mentally do. And you make
Yep.
testosterone, right? When you strength train, which makes you feel
Yep.
sexier and more confident.
Yep. So if your libido is tanking out there, you need to hit the weight room, and then you can hit the bedroom later.
Famous.
Can we
last
say
words.
that? Is this a family show?
Oh yeah, no, you can say that on here. Yeah, and you can throw in some essential oils too to get that party started. So I'll write that one down in the chat as well. Awesome, Deborah. Well, thank you again. People can go to your site, I guess, if they want to follow up with you, and they can go to your Instagram page. Your Instagram is Flipping50, right?
Flipping 50 TV.
Oh, okay. Flipping
Yep.
50 TV. And do you have an active YouTube by the same name?
I
Or,
do. And it's
okay.
Flipping 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
But someone beat you to Flipping 50 on Instagram or what?
They did. I don't know. It's also complicated, right?
Yeah, right. Well, thank you again. We really appreciate it. If there's some specific questions for you that come up later, we'll send them your way.
All right, great. Thanks so much. It's great to see you.
Yeah.